Hi, Dr. Jo Messenger here. Let's have a bit of an organic chat today about sustainable travel because like you and me, pretty much most of the world for the last few years has been in lockdown. We've stayed home. We've done our best to do our part to contribute to society from a different place. And now most of us are putting our head out of the bubble, our periscope's up, we're looking at what does the world look like now and what is my place in it, because we've changed, the world's changed. It's like, where do we fit in now? And many of us are starting to embrace the concept of travel again. And I really invite you to do this in a wise way, to do it perhaps differently to what we've done it before. We've got the opportunity to reinvent the wheel and to live our lives from a better place in a way that is not only just good for us, but is good for the greater good as well. So whether you are traveling to the next suburb, whether you're traveling to the supermarket, whether you're traveling to the next suburb, interstate or overseas, the principles are still the same. So if you look at it from both a physical and a spiritual point of view, what is your impact physically, where you're traveling to, upon the land and the people? And from a spiritual point of view, what is your impact? What are your thoughts? Are you comparing? Are you judging? Are you thinking that you're better than or less than? What is the impact of your energy where you're going? So just recently, I've had the wonderful good fortune to have pretty much a trip of a lifetime, going from Sydney to Los Angeles, driving up the Pacific Coast Highway to San Francisco, which it was on my one of the 60 things to do before I turned 60 list. And so it was wonderful for me to be able to tick that box. And from San Francisco up to the north of California to Mount Shasta. Now, I'm articulating that nicely because a lot of the locals thought I was saying Manchester. So Mount Shasta, which is one of the sacred places on the planet, a bit like our beloved Uluru in Australia. Uluru is the solar plexus chakra for the planet, and Mount Shasta in Northern California is the root chakra for the planet. And I feel ever so grateful to have had the opportunity to go there. I came home a different person, really grateful for the experience and the energetic upgrades that I've personally have. And in all aspects of our lives, isn't there? There's a price to pay. If you receive a benefit, it's like there's a moral responsibility to share the benefit with others. If you have the good fortune of good finances, then sharing what that enables people around you to benefit from in some way. If you have the good fortune to education, then sharing your knowledge. If you have the good fortune of skills, sharing those skills in some way. If you have none of these things, if just to share the good love in your heart, the compassion of your soul. We're not just here for ourselves, we're here for each other. We're all part of the one. And we have, over the last however many thousands of years, we've done things the masculine way, the me, stronger, harder, faster. And it has certainly brought about a lot of progress and changes in some areas. And like it or not, it's also brought about a massive disparity between the haves and the have-nots. And most people are aware that there's a change in the air. There's aware that females now and the divine feminine energy is also gaining more respect. We're claiming back our power. We refuse to be oppressed and submissive anymore. And we are really committed to not making the same mistakes of the misuse of power and will that some of the out of balance men have done in the past. We're here to unite together, combining the feminine love and compassion, the nurturing, with the power and the will of the divine masculine, so that the two wholes can come together for the benefit of ourselves and the greater good. So when you're traveling to wherever it is, the supermarket, the next town, the next state, overseas, what is it physically that you can do that helps benefit where you're going to? One of the things is to spend your money, share your wealth to whatever degree that is appropriate for you. Can you simply pick up rubbish and put it in the bin? Can you box up half of your meal and give it to a homeless person? Can you take out of your suitcase the things that you're not going to wear and give them to a homeless person or someone less fortunate? If you're going to Asia, most Australians have had a history of going to Asia, whether it's Bali or Indonesia or Hong Kong or wherever, or Vietnam and Thailand. Oh my God, Thailand. Love it. And for a long time, as travellers, we have taken packs of coloured pencils and sharpeners and colouring books and exercise books and whatever, and donated to schools and children when we've got there. This is common practice, and if you're not aware of this, then I encourage you to please be aware of it now, and jump on board and do similar things. But it's more than just giving colour and pencils to children who are really grateful for them. You can pack up, find out before you go, what do they need? Across the world, one of the common things that people who are less fortunate ask for is socks. They want clean socks. They want clean, dry socks. And shout out to the Divvy Up sock company, got to pronounce that correctly, because that's a company online where you can customize your socks. You can put your photo, your pet's photo, a loved one's photo onto socks, and you pay for a pair of socks, and you actually pay for two pairs of socks. You get to receive one, and the other pair is donated to a homeless person who needs socks. And so hats off to them. But you can do this yourself. You can take extra socks and give to homeless people. You can go to the $2 shop and buy the $3, $5 glasses in the various strengths and take them and donate to communities. You can, I know it's a while back now, but when I went to Bali last time, one of the things the ladies were all asking for was bras. And they don't want necessarily the sexy whatever bras. They want functional ones that work, that they can wear every day so that they can get on with their lives and take care of their families and do their work. So wherever you're going to, do a bit of a research before you go. What do the less fortunate in their community need that you can contribute? And when I was in San Francisco, I was a little bit confronted by the degree of homelessness. It's like, it wasn't just a bit, it was like every street from the CBD out was lined with people living in tents, their belongings in rubbish bags, and really doing it tough. And it was all over the news that the homeless people is hurting tourism in San Francisco, because tourists and conventions weren't coming so much anymore because of the degree of homelessness. It was too confronting. And I'm sort of going, well, tourism's being hurt by homelessness. I'm thinking homeless people are being hurt by homelessness. And it's up to all of us to do something about it. Can we change the whole thing? I don't know how that works, but I do know that if I'm going to a restaurant and they're serving me a meal that is this big, that is too much for my body, that's just going to make me greedy and fat. It's like I can eat half and I can get the other half boxed up and I can go and give it to somebody who's hungry. And someone asked me, so I actually did this the whole time I was in San Francisco. Each day I boxed up half my food and just, there's plenty of people around to hand it to. And someone said, aren't they embarrassed by that? And 2% are embarrassed. The other 98% were so grateful that it was, I'm a bit teary about it, that it was heartwarming to me, and it was just so simple. I started off by saying, whatever the food was, and then I just got to, do you want some food? And they all said yes, except for one lady who was a little bit embarrassed. But she was grateful for the conversation. She was grateful that I even showed up. And she made the comment that I was like her mother and that she missed her mother. And it was like, oh my God, all of these people have a story. Every single one of them have a story. And it's up to the rest of us to do something about it. We can't be relying on governments and institutions. We as individuals have to play our part in society, in helping people. There was one lady that I gave, half of my Thai chicken salad to. And as I handed it to her, I just said, it's got peanuts in it. You're not allergic, are you? You're not allergic to peanuts. And the look of gratitude on her face, that not only was she getting something to eat, but someone was asking her a question about her health, natural to me as a healer, as a healthcare practitioner, but it was like no one had ever asked her such a question in her life before. And it's like, to me, it was an important question. You don't want anaphylactic shock for somebody in a country where there's no free healthcare. That's a bit counterproductive. And it was also interesting for me to learn about myself. I became aware that I was really wanting to give to the females more than the males, because somewhere in my mind it's like males have hit the genetic jackpot. It's like the patriarchy's been ruling for a long time. It's like they really have had a bit of a head start for quite a while. And on a couple of occasions, it was only with my little box of food, I only came across males. And I got it. It was like, it's not for me to judge who's hit the genetic jackpot or not. Males and females alike, all of these people are in need. And anyway, if it's within your heart, if it's within your practice to do the same thing, then please do so. I actually, one of the places that I went to for meals on a regular basis while I was in San Francisco, because I found a place that wasn't just hamburgers, pizza, Caesar salad, Mediterranean salad and buffalo wings. I found a place with a fabulous menu, and shout out to the Cheesecake Factory on the top of Macy's in Union Square. They don't just make cheesecakes, they make a huge cross-section of delicious and nutritious foods. And So I actually wrote to them suggesting, can you please, there was so much waste, people just not eating their whole meal and just leaving it on the table. So I actually sent them an email just suggesting perhaps they could offer boxes for the people not eating their meals so that they could be delivered to homeless people. And in fact, I'd organise friends to deliver it for them once I was home if it wasn't within their scope. And what I learnt was they are already donating tons of food every year to people in need. These companies are already doing it. I've spoken before about the San Francisco Hilton. They're donating food and clothes and soap and shampoo and training and employing veterans and people in need. So a lot of the companies are already doing it. So I still come back to us as individuals. What can we do? And I'm not saying give up your whole life. It's like, while you're traveling, do it while you're traveling. And maybe when you're home, do it, a bit a day, a bit a week, whatever. Because together we can bring about change. We can make everybody's life more comfortable. We can bring back some respect and some dignity to everybody. And who knows? When I'm hungry, I don't think so clearly. And I'm sure these people are the same. How can they make wise choices when they're starving? How can they make wise choices when they don't know where they're going to sleep tonight? When they're going to be moved on to another corner? When they can't even go to the toilet because all of the businesses around keep the toilets just for the customers. One guy that I was having a bit of a chat to, and he was so polite. Oh my gosh, these people are so polite. How's your day? How you going? Is there anything I can do to help? Blah, 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 blah. And he was standing behind a wheelie bin. And he actually said, I'm actually trying to go to the toilet. And it was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, mate. I'll leave you to your business. But it was kind of like, they can't even pee anywhere, One of the things that I was a little bit gobsmacked about was the constant smell of cannabis. I was starting to feel a bit nauseous because of the constant smell. It's not my thing. And then I went to an area where there was no smell of cannabis, and it was the smell of urine and poop. And it was like, okay, bless the cannabis. I'd rather that smell. But underneath that is like, maybe some of the festival people can bring in some portaloos for a bit until, the people who actually know how to solve these problems on a more long-term basis can help sort things out. I don't have those big answers, but I do know that simply giving half my food to somebody made a massive change in these people's lives, just, for a blink in time. And if we all do that on an ongoing basis, we're well and good. And so what's your spiritual impact when you're traveling, when you're going places as well? I got into, for a long time now, when I go to a new place, I have asked for permission from the traditional custodians of that land, for permission to enter, and also permission from the spirit of place. Because, there's been a lot of colonisation across the planet, and pretty much every continent has issues about invaders. And, to a degree, as tourists, as travellers, we're temporary invaders. So if we can minimise the impact of that as well and actually flip it around into a positive of, okay, how can my energy, how can my wisdom, how can the education, the skills, the finances, the love in my heart, the compassion, whatever it is that my and your gifts and skills are, how can this be distributed with respect, and from a place of equality, from a place of the greater good? Because especially between different countries, there can be quite a difference in culture. For instance, it's part of my nature to make jokes. It's like the world's a pretty harsh place out there. And to me, if I can find a bit of humour in something that just lifts my spirits and lifts the spirits of the people around me every day, have a bit of a laugh, well and good. Not a laugh at people, but a laugh at something funny. And what I noticed was, Australians and British people, we have a pretty similar sense of humour. It is different to the American sense of humour. British people and Australian people, we laugh at ourselves a lot. We can be pretty self-deprecating, pretty disparaging. And this is a plus and a minus. It's perhaps good to laugh at ourselves and not take ourselves too seriously. But in a generic sweeping statement, the American people don't do that. On a few occasions, they didn't get my sense of humour. And it was really a reminder to me to not be self-deprecating as a habit, to not put myself down. One of the wonderful things that I love about Americans is their self-esteem. That they don't put themselves down and they don't put each other down. They celebrate when they do well. They celebrate each other when they do well. And so this is one of my take-homes, to still laugh, but to not make myself the joke, not to be self-deprecating, and to also take on board that celebrating when anyone around me does well. It's like kudos to them and well and good. So back to the sustainable travel, back to what can you do? What can you do in your community? What can you do in your everyday travels? How can you contribute? Not to turn your life upside down necessarily to do it, but can you declutter your clothes, your pantry, your stationery drawer? Can you donate those things to people who need it? Can you afford $20, $50 to donate to the Ukrainian refugee fund? Can you, what can you do? Can you teach people at your local community to sing, to dance, to paint, to draw, to meditate, to whittle wood, to use Canva or memes, to learn social media, to learn another language? What can you do? What are the natural or even learned skills, tools, talents, abilities that you have already now that you can share with the greater good to help benefit? Where can you do it? Come from your heart. We've got to change the way things have been done. We just have to. It's too heartbreaking to see people with not enough food to eat, especially when most of us would actually benefit from, shedding 10 kilos. So, until we meet again, remember, laugh lots and you get more of what you think about.